As you let go, you'll feel lighter, freer. You'll start to see possibilities you couldn't see before. The space that once felt empty will begin to fill with purpose, vision, and blessings. It's not just about what you lose, it's about what you gain. So don't fight the purging process, lean into it. Trust that every door closing is making room for a new one to open. Trust that every loss is a setup for a greater gain. And trust that God is clearing the way for your destiny. Because on the other side of letting go is not just freedom, it's fulfillment. It's the life you were meant to live. And it's waiting for you to make room. Elevation requires separation. Not everyone is meant to go where you're headed. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn in life. When you're called to a higher level, separation becomes necessary. It's not rejection, it's not punishment. It's preparation. Elevation requires separation. Let's break this down. You can't climb a mountain while carrying unnecessary weight. The higher you go, the more you have to let go. Some people, habits, and mindsets are part of your history, not your destiny. And that's okay. Separation is painful because it feels personal. We've all had relationships where we felt close, but over time we noticed the distance growing. It's hard to let go, especially when love and loyalty are involved. But sometimes the distance isn't about the relationship, it's about your growth. God knows what you need for the next season. He knows who will uplift you and who will hold you back. He knows the voices that will speak life into you and the voices that will sow doubt. When he separates you, it's not because you're unworthy, it's because you're being set apart for greatness. Think of it like pruning a tree. A gardener cuts away the dead branches and even trims some of the healthy ones. Why? To ensure the tree grows stronger, healthier, and bears more fruit. In the same way, separation in your life is about removing what doesn't serve your growth. But let's be real, this process can feel isolating. You might wonder why certain people drift away or why certain opportunities close off. It's tempting to hold on, to resist the separation, but remember this, God is not taking something away to punish you. He's making room for something better. Elevation isn't just about where you're going, it's about who you're becoming. And not everyone can handle the person you're becoming. Some relationships were built on the old version of you, and as you grow, those connections may no longer align. That's okay, it's natural. This isn't about judgment or blame, it's about alignment. You need people in your corner who understand your vision, who challenge you to grow, and who celebrate your success without envy. If someone can't do that, they're not bad, they're just not part of your next chapter. Separation isn't just about people, it's also about habits and mindsets. What got you here won't get you there. Maybe it's the habit of procrastination. Maybe it's a scarcity mindset. Maybe it's fear. Whatever it is, you need to leave it behind to step into your full potential. And here's the beauty of separation. It's not just about loss, it's about gain. When you let go of what's weighing you down, you make room for new relationships, opportunities, and perspectives that will elevate you to the next level. So embrace the process. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Every goodbye, every closed door, and every step away from the familiar is taking you closer to your destiny. Remember, you're not losing, you're gaining clarity, focus, and alignment. Don't be afraid of being set apart. The crowd is comfortable, but greatness is found in the climb. And the climb requires you to travel light. Let go of what no longer serves you and step boldly into your next season. You're not being separated to be isolated, you're being separated to be elevated. Trust the process, trust the pruning, and trust that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. Testing before trusting. Let's talk about tests. Before every breakthrough, there's a test. Before every blessing, there's a proving ground. Why? Because blessings are not just given, they're entrusted. And trust is built through testing. Imagine this: if you were given something valuable, you'd want to ensure it's in the right hands, wouldn't you? The same is true for your blessings. God doesn't just give you what you want. He tests you to see if you're ready to handle it. Tests come in many forms. Sometimes it's the test of patience, waiting for something longer than you expected. Sometimes it's the test of faith, believing when everything seems to be falling apart. And sometimes it's the test of endurance, continuing to push forward, even when you're tired. These tests aren't meant to break you, they're meant to build you. Think of them as spiritual weightlifting. Each challenge strengthens your character, your faith, and your ability to carry the blessings coming your way. Here's the thing: blessings come with responsibility. If you're not ready, the blessing can feel like a burden. That's why the testing phase is so important. It refines you, it reveals your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. prepares you to sustain what's coming. You've probably heard the phrase, be faithful with the little things. That's what testing is about. How you handle the small opportunities determines if you're ready for the big ones. How you navigate this season of testing sets the tone for your elevation. It's easy to get discouraged during the test. You might feel like giving up or question why you're going through so much, but remember, the test is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the gateway to your next level. Think about the people you admire. Their success wasn't handed to them. They earned it through tests and trials. Every setback they faced, every challenge they overcame was preparing them for their breakthrough. The same is true for you. Testing also builds trust not just in you, but in your connection with God. When you stay faithful through the test, you show that you can be trusted with more. You prove that your character matches your calling. Tests reveal your grit, your determination, and your resilience. They strip away the doubts and insecurities, leaving you stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the road ahead. They're not a roadblock, they're a stepping stone. So when the test comes, don't shy away from it. Embrace it. Face it head on. Know that every challenge you overcome is taking you one step closer to your blessing. This is your proving ground. This is where you show not just others, but yourself that you're ready to receive, ready to grow, ready to step into the fullness of your purpose. Because the greater the test, the greater the trust. And the greater the trust, the greater the blessing. Keep going. Your breakthrough is on the other side of the test. Transformation takes time, or revise any section further. Let me know. Transformation takes time. We live in a world that thrives on instant gratification. We want results and we want them now. But transformation doesn't work that way. Real growth, the kind that prepares you for the blessings you're destined to receive, takes time. And that time is often spent in isolation. Think about a seed planted in the ground. Before it becomes a mighty tree, it spends time hidden beneath the surface. In that darkness, it's developing roots that will sustain it for the storms ahead. You can't rush this process. If the seed pushes up too soon, it won't survive. The same is true for you. The isolation you're experiencing is not a delay, it's development. It's in this time that you're growing stronger, digging deeper, and preparing to rise. But that growth isn't always visible, and that's where faith comes in. Transformation is often invisible at first. You're working, praying, and pushing, but it feels like nothing is happening. That's because the work being done is beneath the surface. It's internal. It's foundational. And without a strong foundation, anything you build will crumble. It's easy to get frustrated in this season. You might compare yourself to others who seem to be flourishing while you're still waiting. But remember, everyone's timeline is different. What's being prepared for you requires its own season, and that season can't be rushed. Butterflies don't emerge from cocoons overnight. They spend time in that confined space, transforming from a caterpillar into something that can soar. If you were to cut the cocoon open too soon, the butterfly wouldn't survive. Its wings wouldn't be strong enough to fly. This is why patience is so crucial. Transformation isn't about speed, it's about completeness. It's about becoming the person who can not only receive the blessing, but sustain it, grow it, and share it with others. During this time, you might feel isolated, but you're not alone. You're in a sacred process. God is working on you, shaping you, and preparing you. It may feel slow, but every moment is intentional. Every struggle, every tear, every challenge is contributing to your growth. Transformation is also about trust in the process, trust in yourself, and trust in God. It's about believing that the time you're spending in the season is not wasted. Every lesson you're learning, every skill you're developing, every bit of growth you're experiencing is part of the plan. When you finally step into your blessing, you'll realize why the time was necessary. You'll see how the isolation prepared you, how the waiting refined you, and how the struggle made you stronger. The transformation will be evident not just to you, but to everyone around you. But here's the truth, transformation doesn't have an end point. Even when you receive your blessing, you'll continue to grow. This season is just one phase in a lifelong journey of becoming. And that's a beautiful thing. So don't rush the process. Don't despise the time it takes. Embrace it. Use it. Trust that every day, every moment, and every step is shaping you into the person you're meant to be. Transformation is not just about the destination, it's about who you become along the way. You're not just waiting, you're becoming. And when the time is right, you'll see that every second spent in this season was worth it. You'll rise, you'll flourish, and you'll step into your blessings with the strength, wisdom, and grace to carry them. Keep going. Your transformation is unfolding, and it's leading you to something greater than you can imagine. The isolation is your preparation. Let's bring it all together. The isolation you're experiencing isn't a punishment, it's a preparation. It's not a setback, it's a setup for something extraordinary. You're not being abandoned, you're being positioned. Positioned for clarity, for strength, for transformation. Every tear you've cried, every struggle you've faced, and every moment of loneliness is part of a divine plan. This isn't the end of your story, it's the chapter where the hero rises. It's the moment where the roots grow deep, the wings are strengthened, and the vision becomes clear. You've been set apart because you've been called to something greater. The blessings coming your way are more than you can imagine, but they require a stronger, wiser, more prepared version of you. That's what this season is about. So embrace the silence, trust the process, lean into the discomfort. And remember, every great story has a chapter like this, a chapter where the hero is tested, refined, and made ready for the greatness ahead. This is not where it ends. This is where it begins. You are being prepared, strengthened, and elevated. The blessing is on its way. Stay the course, keep the faith, and know that your isolation is not in vain. It's the birthplace of your transformation, and it's leading you to the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Your time is coming. Get ready. Why does God isolate you before blessings? Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about a phenomenon many of us experience but often fail to recognize for what it truly is: a divine setup for success. Isolation before blessings, it's not punishment. It's preparation, it's not rejection, it's redirection. When you find yourself in a season of isolation where it feels like everything and everyone you leaned on is stripped away, don't despair. That season is a cocoon, not a coffin. It's the divine process of transforming you into the person ready to carry the blessing that's coming your way. Here's why isolation happens before blessings and why it's absolutely necessary. Clarity through separation. Sometimes the noise around you is so loud you can't hear the whispers of destiny. Isolation is God's way of clearing the room so you can focus on what truly matters. It's in the silence that you rediscover your purpose. Strength in the solitude. In isolation, you're forced to rely not on others, but on your own inner strength and your connection to the divine. Challenges refine you. They strip away weakness and replace it with resilience. Preparation for elevation. Think of isolation as training camp. Champions aren't made in the spotlight, they're made in the hours no one sees. The same goes for your blessings. Before God blesses you, he prepares you to handle the weight of it. Purging of the old to make room for the new. In the season of isolation, things that no longer serve your growth fall away. Toxic relationships, limiting beliefs, and bad habits get removed. God is making room for the new by taking out the trash. Elevation requires separation. Not everyone can go where you're headed. Some people and things are part of your history, not your destiny. God isolates you so you don't carry excess baggage into your new season. Testing before trusting. Before a blessing is given, a test is often required. Will you remain faithful? Will you persevere when no one's watching? The season of isolation tests your readiness for what's next. Transformation takes time. Butterflies don't emerge from their cocoons instantly. Flowers don't bloom overnight. Your isolation is God's divine timetable. Trust the process, because what's being built in you during this time is far greater than what you've left behind. Closing thoughts: isolation is not the end, it's the beginning. When you're in that quiet space, it's not because you've been forgotten, but because you're being fortified. The weight of the blessing requires the foundation to be strong. So the next time you find yourself in a season of isolation, don't curse it. Embrace it. Lean into the silence. Find strength in the stillness. Know that every step, every tear, every challenge is leading you closer to the destiny God has prepared for you. Because when the blessing finally arrives, you'll be ready not just to receive it, but to sustain it and thrive in it. Let's go forth, trust the process, and step boldly into the greatness waiting on the other side of isolation. Clarity through separation. Sometimes life gets so noisy, doesn't it? The endless demands, the constant chatter, and the opinions of others cloud your vision. When you're surrounded by distractions, it's hard to hear the call of your purpose. Isolation is not about punishment, it's about creating a sacred space where you can reconnect with what's truly important. When everything around you feels chaotic, you need separation to identify what truly matters. Think about it. How often do we let the voices of others drown out our own intuition? God uses isolation as a tool to quiet the external noise so you can tune into the internal whispers. It's in that silence that you start to see clearly. You begin to understand who you are, what you want, and why you were created. Isolation strips away the unnecessary and forces you to focus. It's a laser beam cutting through the fog, illuminating your path. We fear being alone, but solitude is where clarity is born. Have you ever noticed how some of the greatest ideas come in the quiet moments when you're in the shower, on a walk, or lying in bed at night? That's no coincidence. It's in those moments of stillness that clarity emerges. When you're isolated, you begin to ask yourself the tough questions: who am I really? What am I meant to do? What's been holding me back? And as the answers come, you feel a shift. You start to realign with your purpose. Clarity doesn't come from busy work. It doesn't come from scrolling social media or running from one task to the next. It comes from stepping back, taking a breath, and listening. Isolation is the divine invitation to do just that. Think of it as a reset button. When your phone glitches, you reboot it. When your computer crashes, you restart it. Isolation is God rebooting your soul. It's a moment to recalibrate, to regain perspective, and to remember why you're here. Don't resist the silence. Lean into it. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is the beginning of transformation. You're being stripped of distractions so you can see the vision clearly. When you embrace this process, you begin to notice something extraordinary. Opportunities that were hidden in plain sight start to reveal themselves. Solutions to problems you thought were insurmountable come into focus. Your path becomes clear. And here's the truth: clarity is power. When you're clear on who you are and what you're here to do, you become unstoppable. That's why isolation is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the moment where you rediscover your vision and set your sights on your destiny. So if you're in a season of separation, don't resist it, welcome it, use it to reconnect with your purpose. Because clarity through separation is not just a gift, it's the foundation for everything that's about to come. Strength in the solitude. Let's talk about solitude. For so many of us, the idea of being alone is terrifying. We equate it with loneliness, with weakness. But solitude is not a weakness, it's a strength. It's the forge where your character is tested and your resilience is built. In solitude, you learn to rely on something greater than external support. You learn to rely on yourself. That's not to say you don't need people. Of course, relationships are vital, but there comes a time when you need to stand strong on your own 2 feet. Solitude strips away the crutches we've leaned on for too long. Maybe it's a toxic relationship. Maybe it's the need for constant validation. Maybe it's an unhealthy habit that numbs the pain. Whatever it is, solitude reveals it. And in that revelation, you find strength. Think about a tree. Its roots don't grow deep in the calm, they grow deep in the storm. When the winds blow and the rains pour, the tree digs deeper, anchoring itself firmly into the ground. That's what solitude does for you. It deepens your roots. This is the moment where you discover what you're truly made of. When the noise is gone and it's just you and your challenges, you find an inner strength you didn't know existed. You rise, you overcome. And with every victory, you grow stronger. Isolation is where the greats are forged. Think about it, every hero's journey includes a moment of solitude. It's the time when they face their fears, confront their doubts, and emerge stronger. That's not just a story, it's a blueprint for growth. Don't mistake solitude for loneliness. Loneliness is the absence of connection. Solitude is the presence of transformation. It's in those quiet moments that you connect with something greater than yourself. You find wisdom, you find peace, and most importantly, you find power. When you embrace solitude, you stop fearing it. You stop running from the quiet and start running toward it. You see it for what it is, a training ground for strength, resilience, and greatness. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but growth always is. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Steel is tempered in fire. And you are strengthened in solitude. This is where you're prepared to carry the blessings that are coming. Every tear, every struggle, every lonely night is adding to your strength. It's building the foundation for your success. So don't resent the solitude. Embrace it, use it, and let it transform you into the person you're meant to be. Preparation for elevation. Let's be real, everyone wants the blessing, but not everyone is ready to carry it. Blessings come with weight. They come with responsibility. And if you're not prepared, what should elevate you can actually crush you. That's why God puts you through a season of preparation before your elevation. Think of this season as your training ground. No athlete steps onto the world stage without hours, days, and years of preparation. The isolation you're experiencing is not random, it's purposeful. It's shaping you, molding you, and equipping you for what's ahead. In isolation, you learn the lessons you couldn't learn in the crowd. You develop the skills, the discipline, and the mindset required to handle the next level. Because here's the truth, every new level demands a new version of you. You can't take shortcuts on the journey to greatness. Preparation often feels like work without reward. You're grinding, pushing, growing, but you don't see the fruits yet. That's because this season isn't about visible results, it's about internal transformation. The roots grow deep before the tree ever breaks the surface. Imagine a slingshot. Before it launches forward, it has to be pulled back. The further it's pulled, the greater the force when it's released. Your isolation is the pullback. It feels like a setback, but it's really a setup for something greater. The tension is building your momentum. But preparation isn't just about skills, it's about character. The season of isolation reveals your weaknesses and gives you the opportunity to strengthen them. It tests your patience, your perseverance, and your faith. It's not about proving anything to anyone else, it's about proving something to yourself. Think about the heroes you admire. None of them achieved greatness overnight. They were tested, they struggled, they prepared. And because of that, when the opportunity came, they were ready. That's the key. Preparation ensures you're ready when your moment arrives. In this season, you may feel unseen, you may feel overlooked. But don't confuse being hidden with being forgotten. God is working behind the scenes, aligning everything for your elevation. And He's giving you this time to get ready. What does preparation look like? It's getting disciplined, it's letting go of excuses, it's sharpening your skills and honing your mindset. It's becoming the person who can not only receive the blessing, but sustain it. So embrace the process, don't rush it, don't resist it. Every step, every struggle, every lesson is preparing you for what's next. Trust the preparation, because when the elevation comes, you'll realize it was worth every moment of the wait. Purging of the old to make room for the new. Let's talk about letting go. It's one of the hardest things we'll ever do, isn't it? But here's the truth, you can't step into your future while holding on to your past. Isolation is often God's way of purging what no longer serves you so you can make room for what's meant for you. Think about your life like a closet. Over the years, we accumulate things, beliefs, habits, relationships. Some of them are useful, but many are just taking up space. In isolation, you're forced to open that closet, take inventory, and start cleaning house. This process is uncomfortable. It hurts to let go of people, habits, or mindsets that once felt essential. But holding on to the old blocks the flow of the new. You can't receive what's next if your hands are full of what's past. Purging isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's about aligning your life with your purpose. Toxic relationships, limiting beliefs, unhealthy patterns, they're weights holding you back. And when you're in isolation, you have the clarity to see them for what they are. This is a process of refinement. Like gold in the fire, the impurities rise to the surface during isolation. It's painful, yes, but it's necessary. The fire doesn't destroy the gold, it purifies it. And when the purging is complete, what's left is stronger, brighter, and more valuable. But here's the thing, letting go isn't just about releasing the bad. Sometimes it means letting go of the good to make room for the great. It's about trusting that what's coming is better than what you're leaving behind. It takes faith to release. Faith that what's been removed wasn't meant for your next season. Faith that what's coming will exceed your expectations. And faith that the purging process is part of a bigger plan.